Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 22nd season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. We are the Nitwits, Neil Rudell, Mark Brennan, our special guest, former Penn State kicker Massimo Manca. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
renewed your contract.
That's right.
Thank you.
Penn State is coming off of a win, 35-7 against Purdue. Came in here, it was homecoming. Second half, we'll get to that in a little bit, but they jumped out to a fast start.
Yeah, I think the key, obviously, for me was the play of the Penn State defense. You knew that Purdue was coming in banged up. Rondale Moore wasn't there. But I really liked the way that Penn State defense came out of the bye week. If you remember, heading into the bye, they had struggled with the pass rush against Pitt. And they come out of that bye all of a sudden with playing gangbusters against Maryland and then really just continue that. To come through with 10 sacks, I don't care who you're playing. And right there, Shaka Toney, to me, set such a tone. But it was, they started to kind of funnel toward him, and that opened things up for everybody else. So I really think, like we could get into the offense and some of the issues there, but to me, I think this set a great tone for the defense moving into the meat of this schedule.
Yeah, because they're going to need this, especially with a little bit of unevenness on offense, as we saw yesterday. But, to me, this team is very fresh. They've played so many guys, and you can see the spirit that they have. And, it's kind of like the sum of the team is exceeding the individual parts. They do have great players here, future pros. And we saw Navarro Bowman, who was the honorary captain, a great defensive player. And they have some of those guys on this team. But I think the way they're playing together, using so much depth, it's keeping everybody they're really overwhelming the opposition so far.
What was most impressive to you think?
I love watching those guys, and like you said, they have so much depth. You see kids coming in and out, and maybe it was the white shoes that they were wearing yesterday, but man, they're just so quick to the ball, and it was really a lot of fun to watch in the first half, and that's going to carry them the rest of the season. That defense is just spectacular right now.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about the defense is that they clearly have a handful of upperclassmen who are, again, are setting that tone, and that's Shaka Toney. I think Etor counts in that realm now. Obviously, the defensive backs, Reed and the other safety, and
Taylor.
to me, that's what's kind of missing over on offense. They don't have those guys who've been around. Your primary playmakers are your Sean Cliffords and your Hamlers and your Freiermuths, all redshirt sophomores. So I think you're still going to see development on that side. But when you go back to defense, how cool is it when you see the veterans making plays and then all of a sudden you see Jason Owe? And then you see Micah Parsons getting his first sack of the season. And then even a guy like Lamont Wade, who's been around, ends up playing, to me, he's kind of still a relatively young guy. He played his best game, comes through with a sack. So it kind of,
Brooks, Brisker. I mean, they're playing there too deep, usually in the first quarter. We saw Joe Moorhead ascend to a head coaching job a couple years ago. To me, Brent Pry, his name ought to be in the conversation for when these jobs start to open up. Hopefully he won't take the Rutgers job because I'm not sure anybody, Vince Lombardi, could win there. And a lot of these jobs go to the offensive guys, but I think Pry's doing a tremendous job.
Well, you also have to credit their recruiting
staff.
too. I mean, overall, their recruiting has been unbelievable, especially on that side of the ball.
Is there any one person that might have stood out with their play yesterday?
Well, Tony did, and you're talking about defense. Windsor played better, I thought. He was a guy they were touting him at the beginning of the year, and I think it's been kind of quiet. And he had a couple.
I think their D tackles have been overlooked. I think when you talk about having 10 sacks and the amount of pressure they've put on the last couple of weeks on quarterbacks, that goes specifically, even though these guys aren't getting the numbers, it's going to the Windsors, it's going to the Sheltons, the Mustafers, the Hansards. I think those guys are doing a really good job in there. If you go and look at some of the things that happened, they're taking up 2 and 3 blockers, and that's allowing these speed guys to get in there.
All right, coming up next on Nittany Nation Overtime, we had a fast start, but kind of a stagnant second half. Should that worry you? Next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. Of course, Penn State's coming off of a win against Purdue. Their first 4 offensive drives end in touchdowns. And then they go to halftime up 28-7. They end up winning 35-7, but it seems like they really got bogged down there in the second half. Is that cause for concern, Neil?
Well, yeah. I mean, you score 4 touchdowns in 14 minutes, and then you score 1 in 44 minutes, or close to that. My math might not
Here we go.
add up. Yeah. But I thought a bigger problem actually was the special teams, because that contributed to.
This isn't the special teams era.
Well,
reel,
that's
Neil.
not. Do I have?
we have highlights for that.
Okay. Well. Go ahead then.
Let's
see
talk
how
about
you
this.
can do any
No,
better.
special teams
Why don't
are
you
good.
talk about the offense and they'll show some special teams?
I'll actually do that. I mean, to me, what was kind of stunning is that when Sean Clifford threw that interception, it seemed as if the whole offense kind of lost focus, and not just for that series, but almost into the fourth quarter. And to me, that goes back a little bit to what I was saying before. Over on defense, you have guys who have played a lot of football who are in key spots. Over on offense, your key playmakers haven't played a lot of football. I think they need a Sean Clifford or a Hamler or a Freiermuth or some combination that when this happens, you get in that huddle and say, okay, this was a mistake, but we have to come back. Because when you get into these tight Big Ten games, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to have to be able to rebound from them. And then the other thing, obviously, the running backs. I still have no problem with them rotating through 4 running backs. What puzzled me was the fact that you get into the third quarter, and it's like, hey, you have these running backs, why don't you use them? I thought that would have been the perfect opportunity to give at least one or two of them a bunch of carries, give the offensive line some more confidence coming out of the Maryland game, and they just didn't do that. They keep relying on Clifford to be their primary ball carrier, and until they start to get these running backs involved, I think the offense will struggle. Was that good enough for you, Neil?
Yeah, but I think that they got to get to Noah Cain a little more quickly now. He's been third in the rotation. They've been very fair with these running backs, trying to give everybody an opportunity through 5 games. But the great backs have always said they need to get that feel of the game for when they can turn a 2-yard gain and get into the secondary. And I think Cain, Journey Brown, he's done some good things, and Ford has looked good. But I think the more carries they give Cain, because he's shown he can do a little bit about everything.
All right, Massimo, you're the guy to talk special teams, though.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
I will.
so they had some miscues. You had a missed field goal. You had a turnover on a punt.
Yeah.
What
hit someone in the
stood out
head.
to you?
Well, obviously Jordan Stout's been great. This kid that came from Virginia Tech, he has a cannon for a leg. And, back when I played, whenever we kicked the ball in the end zone, it was a big deal. Now this guy just does it with his eyes closed. I know he struggled a little bit, a couple of kicks yesterday. And nobody's talking about Jake Pinniger, but up until yesterday, he missed that 35-yarder. I think he pushed it to the right. But he's pretty solid. He's not getting much attention, but again, he's a pretty darn good kicker. I think he's improved a lot from last year.
Massimo, one question that I would ask you is that as a kicker, how much does the warm weather impact? Because yesterday was really the first kind of cool weather game, and Stout wasn't booming every single one of them. Does that make an impact on kickers the way it does sometimes with like baseball players?
It does, no question about it. Although the ones that he had, he just simply didn't hit the right way. Come November, you'll see the difference. In those 25, 30-degree days, then you'll see that he probably won't kick the ball as far. So you'll probably put it 5 yards deep instead of 12 yards deep in the end zone. But it does make a difference. To answer your question.
I think part of the problem with special teams now, you had 2 more special teams penalties yesterday, and you also had some really quirky things. I don't know that I've ever seen a punt land on
on someone's
right
helmet.
off his helmet. They had 2 punts. Their ball awareness with these punts needs to be better.
That one, the one hitting the kid in the head, though. I honestly, I had never seen. I didn't even know that was a penalty. I honestly didn't.
Well, I think it was a penalty because the other kid didn't have it. Was too close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was an actual positive, in a weird way, was the fact that KJ Hamler was able to return so many punts. Now he has to make some better decisions on when not to run backward. But up until this game, he only had 9 returns in the season. People were kicking away from him. They were kicking ground balls. They were rugby kicking. They were doing all these things. They finally found a way that he's able to get the ball. I think it's on him now to use a little bit better decision making, know when to take it and maybe go down, as opposed to retreating 30 yards. He's so much fun, and I think he will get better.
And he is a good leader, and he said that he has to make better. He had 37 yards in the first 2 carries, and they ended up with, he had 43, he ended up with 37. So we went backward for the next 4.
But he'll learn from that with more opportunities, I really think.
Has he even called for a fair catch yet? I don't think so.
Well, that was a question. He busted one for about 27, but the replay showed
he put his hand up.
And that the officials,
He was
that was
waving
one
to
of the
his
one of the calls they missed.
Going back to the kind of slow second half of the offense there for a sec, I remember asking Clifford after the game. It was kind of a dumb question by me, but I was like, is there a certain number of cushion, a certain amount of cushion where you feel comfortable with a strong defense behind you? He just looked at me, he was like, no, I'm trying to score on every drive. And for one, that's a great response from him, and that's the correct mindset that you would want. But I think being inconsistent in that second half is more of a red flag to me than the special teams, because I think over the course of the season, the special teams have been a pretty strong positive. But also, look what they did against Maryland too. So,
Dodson made a big play to kind of break the game open, and I think Bowers is really coming on as a great compliment and it puts you in the jumbo set in addition to be able to receive.
Yeah, teams are clearly trying to take Freiermuth away. I think he's only been targeted 5 times in the last 2 games and has caught 5 passes. But when they're doing that, to have a weapon like Bowers, and we talked about throughout his career what potential he had if he could only stay healthy, and it's nice to see it in his 5th year.
Great hands. That one catch he made on the sidelines was pretty
big fella, and he doesn't look like he can be that athletic, but he is. That's the great part. Coming up next, no stumbles so far for Penn State. Are they ahead of schedule, or right where we thought they would be. Next.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. We are the NitWits, kind of taking an overall look at Penn State this season. I'm going to admit, before the season, I picked out the Purdue game to be maybe the upset game, maybe the time that Penn State stumbled. Changed my mind when we got closer to the game because of kind of the injuries and everything surrounding that game. But has Penn State kind of been on track or ahead of schedule to this point? What do you think?
Well, that was better than Neil picking Wisconsin as the upset game last year.
It's like 3 years ago, but he's moving on.
Whatever it was. But no, I think they're on schedule. I mean, a lot of people thought this might be a trap game before all the injuries that Purdue was hit with. Brom's a good coach. But in terms of where they are, I think everybody expected the defense to be the more consistent of the two groups. Coming out of Maryland, I thought that the offense had established some consistency, but obviously that disappeared a little bit against Purdue. I think that's the key moving forward, is to keep building the consistency of that offense, not having just a big play here, a big play there, doing it for 4 quarters. And I think if they're able to do that, they're going to be right there contending for a Big Ten East title.
Yeah, I think I sort of figured they'd be 5-0 going to Iowa, but I don't know that they would have. I didn't expect necessarily them to exhibit the domination at times that they have, particularly on defense. I thought they'd be good on defense, but I wasn't. They're racking up some historic numbers right now. I mean, you're up there second in the nation or fifth in the nation in points allowed, and a whole slew of what they have yielded. So I think they've been really good. Offensively, the fact that they look so good against Maryland really teased us, and I think that's going to have to be kind of a rallying cry for them to get back closer to that. But I didn't expect them to be quite as dominant in making the national impact that they're making.
I don't know if they've really played a game that feels, maybe the Pitt game, that feels like a Big Ten tough type of game. A lot of power football, you're going to see plenty of that coming up on the schedule. I feel like, Purdue likes to throw the ball quite a bit, not necessarily known for keeping the ball on the ground. Maryland, kind of the same thing. But they're going to get their chance now.
No question. I mean, Pitt was a wake-up call. That was closer than any of us anticipated. Having said that, I think 5-0 is where I thought we would be at this stage. Next couple of games are going to be tough. They're going to be really telling. Starting this Saturday, it's going to be a tough one. Playing at Iowa at night, it's always a great matchup and always a close game with them.
But I think, Massimo, your point is well taken, is that this schedule worked out well for this team, I think, in the sense that they've been able to kind of slowly, methodically build, especially on the offensive side. I think this defense would have been pretty stout against just about anybody that was playing all along. But the offense, I think, needed to grow, needed to develop, and I think it still needs to do that. And to me, I think Clifford's going to be fine. I've been saying this all season. I think the continued development of the offensive line is really going to dictate how far this team goes or doesn't go.
Yeah, Clifford, I would say, has exceeded my expectations a little bit in terms of how quickly he's grasped everything, his ability, particularly as a leader and getting in and out of offense. But hey, right now you're going to be matching up with your equals physically on both sides of the ball now.
I feel like if you're going to have a part of your play or your team that is exceptionally strong, if it's the defense, in today's day and age in football, that's extremely positive when points are scored, 60s and 70s sometimes in games. So if there's a team that can kind of hold up, I think it's a good thing when you're heading into the meat of your schedule to be able to rely on your defense when times that might have been a problem in the
Well, I
past.
think the question is, as you look at the rest of the schedule, how many teams on Penn State's schedule do you think can score enough points to beat them? And to me, that's what it boils down to. When you see Michigan and Ohio State play a 10-3 game, when you see Michigan State struggling to score against just about anybody, and with a kicking game that's been horrendous, you just wonder how many of these teams, if Penn State's able to get 20 points in the game, who's going to be able to beat them? There's one team out there that you know can do it, but as you look across, and I'm not saying they're going to run the table because they could stub their toe. We saw what happened against Pitt, but if this offense can take care of business and at least get to about 20 a game, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, and that's an underestimated win against Pitt. You know, Pitt's turning out to be a pretty decent team right now. You know, they go to Duke and win. They beat UCF, so that's turned out to be a good win.
You're stumping to extend the series now, I guess.
Well, you know, they got to get themselves on TV.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
they're not even visible in their own market.
Yeah, that was tough.
All right, coming up next, a tough test in corn country. We'll tell you about Iowa, make our predictions next.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Dorman's Jewelry. The answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back. Penn State's getting ready to take a trip to Iowa City and play the Iowa Hawkeyes. Before we get to our predictions, let's see who won Nitwit of the Week this last week. It was Neil Rudell. Yeah. Congratulations. So
sorry, Mike.
You get first pick.
Yeah. Hey, you know, at the beginning of the year, I kind of thought this would be a loss. But I'm looking at the way Penn State has played, and they've exceeded my expectations. And Iowa has been under my expectation. They had one rushing yard at Michigan. I just can't fathom that. And Michigan hasn't looked all that great either. So I don't know whether Iowa can score enough to beat Penn State, even when Penn State doesn't play all that well. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say Penn State 24, Iowa 16.
Yeah, I kind of tipped my hand earlier when I was talking about I wonder how many of these teams could actually score enough points to beat Penn State. And unless something happens defensively where Penn State falls apart, but I think if you look back, one of the notes in the post-game notes, Penn State hasn't allowed more than 13 points against 7 straight regular season opponents. I think it's going to happen again. You're going to see Penn State win 20-13 in Iowa City.
Okay, Massimo.
Iowa's a great defense. We all know that, but like you guys said, I just can't see them stopping our offense, and our defense is just too good. So I'm going with 27-10 Penn State.
Nice. Going high.
I'm going to be a negative Nancy. I'm going to pick Iowa. I talked to a buddy in Iowa today, and he was just so gung-ho. He said Iowa's a different team at home. Okay. They got to be extremely motivated after the way the last 2 games have ended. I'm going to go 10-3 Iowa. I've had success picking just kind of scores that happened already, right?
He's getting good at the strategy. It's scaring me.
I don't know about
I added up 7. I thought he landed on you, but he didn't.
Yeah, it's the other way. Solid strategy play by Peter.
Well,
good for the show.
But I think I will say this is their first, I don't want to say it's their first test, but I feel like it's their first very difficult test, right? Would you guys agree?
First,
yeah, Penn State.
Might play out that way.
No, I was a terrific program, really well coached.
And always tougher out there at night. Some of the players were talking about it afterwards, how close the fans are to you. Hey, this is the beginning of the next stretch of this schedule. They're 10 in the country. Things are setting up for them, but this is the next big hurdle.
If they can run the table in this difficult stretch of the schedule, finish up the season at home, We'll see what happens, right? That's
Well,
the dream, right?
there's another
That's
road
the
game
dream.
left.
All
There's
right.
another
forgot
road
about the
game.
one in
that's-
November.
a
Well, I
couple.
need to look at the schedule again. All right, that's going to do it for our show. We will see you guys next week.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town and Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAlear's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.